Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. Let's watch.
It's too many people in the kitchen. Michael, can you just leave?
Yeah.
And don't touch my ass. Don't touch my... Don't touch my... When I'm cooking.
Be nice.
What?
You touch my when I'm cooking. I think it's dirty.
Oh, my goodness.
You do?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what they're beeping out, but I'm going to take a guess that I know what it is that she is referring to. I use the show as a jumping off point. There are two possibilities here. One is that for Natalie, she has been experiencing Mike groping her, touching her, and she doesn't like it, and she is trying to push back on that. There are many, I've talked with many couples and individuals, but a lot of couples where we'll have a conversation like this, like, yeah, I know you're trying to be nice, but I don't like it when you do this. I don't like it when you grope me in this way. So before I get into that, but getting onto the other possibility is that, they have a flirtatious, groping style of relationship, either unidirectional or bidirectional. A bidirectional groping relationship, put that, on a t-shirt. But for Natalie, if that's the case, then maybe she's, just right now while I'm around your mom, tone it down, or maybe bring it down to 25%. I like some of it, but so that's a world where it's consensual and it just has to be modified a little bit. But in this world where, and I guess both worlds, but particularly this world where it basically is not welcomed 99, if not 100% of the time by Natalie, the reasons for this often are multifactorial. But one of the reasons is that men have been taught that they have ownership over women's bodies. Not all men ascribe to that notion, but it's in our culture. It's sometimes literally even just taught to us directly. And when men feel the need, one, to connect, they might feel their only way to connect is through that dominant way of connecting. Two, they might be so bottled up because they have all this toxic masculinity that's preventing them from getting their needs met in a variety of ways, and thus they only have one way to get their attachment needs or connection needs met, and they will do it through aggressive, dominant sexual acts. And so is that what's happening? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
You do touch my when we're cooking.
Hell yes.
Go clean the barbecue pit.
Touch the Yummy.
Again, I can't tell what the situation is exactly from this clip. But again, I do want to recognize that for some couples, they have a flirtatious, groping, bidirectional relationship. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with couples touching each other. In fact, we need a lot more touch in our life. So I don't know what's going on here. Maybe there's another option that I'm not thinking of. Maybe we'll get data.
I don't like it. I mean, it's really not nice.
Do you want these tops?
I don't like it.
Do you want these tops?
No.
She did look sexy in the apron. Her in the kitchen, just that, pair of high heels, slicing up carrots. Bow chicka wow wow.
So much goofiness. Okay, so again, we're going to use this as a jumping off point. We don't know about them. We don't have access to them to ask them, like, what's going on here. But one thing that we want to remember is we don't want to yuck other people's yums. Other people have yums, sexually speaking. They have their sexual things that they like that turn them on. And we don't want to yuck their yums. We want to say, okay, that's what Mike is into. And if you dislike Mike, then you're more likely to look at him and ridicule him for this moment. But what's wrong with him being attracted to his wife? Now, does Natalie enjoy it? Does Natalie appreciate it? Or is it hurtful to her? Does it bother her? Seems like there's some evidence in that direction. How can Mike ask for his needs to be met in that way, in a way that doesn't harm her? Do they have a way of communicating about that? Maybe we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Why your mom call me hooker?
What are you talking about? No one called you hooker.
I mean,
no one called you.
She thinks I'm a hooker. She said hooker to me.
She didn't. My mom did not call you that word.
You.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a guess and say that Natalie misunderstood the mom. But who knows? I mean, the mom definitely has some level of animosity towards Natalie. So maybe she did call Natalie a hooker. I'm guessing it's on camera, so we'll find out.
Demeanor just changed. You could just see the pent-up energy.
Mother, you pass the plate around.
You pass around the table, essentially.
Sorry? What did you say?
So, again, I use the show as a jumping off point to talk about things. And with Natalie, she is now seemingly laughing when there's a lot of tension in the air. I didn't show all the clips, but Natalie, thought that the mother called her a hooker. And Natalie went to Mike, naturally, and Mike said, no, she didn't say that, which how could he know? What Mike should have said would be something like, wow, if, love of my life, wife of mine, I believe you, but that does not sound like my mom. My mom has issues with you, but I don't think she would just call you a hooker. But who knows? Maybe you should talk with her, or do you want me to talk with, Mike's being triangulated in that way, and maybe Mike could be a helpful triangulated third by going to the mom and saying, did you call her a hooker? But eventually Mike got to a point where he was being helpful. I think he was encouraging Natalie to talk with the mom. Say, I think he's just talk with my mom. I'm guessing you could clear this up. I think he could have done a little bit more to smooth and help them to communicate. But, it was a good move. It's instead of him attacking Natalie or getting up in arms, just like, well, I'm pretty sure there's a misunderstanding there. How about you just go to the mom? Natalie didn't go to the mom to talk about it because of the overall tension in their relationship. And occasionally now, Natalie, under this tension, is starting to laugh. And we will do that sometimes. One of the examples that I will sometimes see when I'm in a movie theater, I'm not quite sure, is we're watching a movie and something really, really horrible happens to a character. Something that is, there's no humor about it at all. There's nothing funny about it. A crowded theater, and one person will just burst out laughing. When I was younger, I used to think that person must be a psychopath because we're watching someone go through something difficult and the person is laughing. And I thought, what is going on with that person? Now, the person might be a psychopath, or they might have heard a joke or something. But I've seen this enough to imagine that most people that have that reaction are actually experiencing something, they have some trauma from their past that's being triggered in that moment. For some of us, when we're young and we are going through trauma, we learn at a young age that if we transform the tension into laughter, things go better for us than if we just sit and fester in the difficulty. Laughter lightens the mood. It lightens our own mood. It might distract people. It might distract us. Or it might, Freud actually talked about this. When we have these energies of like we want to yell, we want to stand up for ourselves, we want to scream, we want to cry, we want to run out of the room. But there's all this pressure being put on her from the outside, and I think mainly from the inside, of saying, don't say anything, be nice. Try to hold it in, stuff your feelings. Well, eventually the energy is going to come out in some ways, and sometimes it'll be sublimated into this other form, which is laughing. I'm guessing that's what we're seeing. Let's continue watching. Hey, deserving listeners, as y'all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
You're pulling my chain?
No, I don't know what to expect from you to say.
And this actually raises a question for me because we've seen in their relationship, Mike and Natalie, there have been a number of times where Natalie has been feeling very hurt and very sad and very angry. And she will try to be appealing to Mike of like, let's work on our relationship. Let's try to work on this. And he has his normal vague avoidant routine to try to protect himself from his own traumas and his own shame, I think. And then she will resort to this goofy laughing persona. And I wonder if we've seen this before, but I didn't detect it. I wonder if before with Mike, when they were having troubles, she would want to scream. She would want to run away. She would want to cry, but she didn't feel like she could. She didn't feel safe enough. And so she only feels safe laughing or being goofy as a way. And I think Mike actually does this too. They both exhibit this goofy side to them under tension. Now, is that purposeful and healthy and a way to lighten the mood? Because that's actually one of the hallmarks that John Gottman in his research and other research have found, that couples that can make a joke about the fight that they're in actually survive longer. Or is it this desperate act of a psyche that is so pent up with emotion that it's only popping out as laughter? Getting back to the functional side, you're in a fight with your spouse and you're just thinking, oh, how do I get out of this fight? We've been fighting all day long, or we've had this tension all day long, or we've been fighting about this thing for 6 months and there's just no resolution. And in the moment you just say something like, well, actually, I know a lot of couples watch, because people email in and say, like, us as a couple will watch your reaction videos, not only for the entertainment value of 90 Day Fiancé and reacting to it, but also to learn a thing or two about emotions and communication and how to lower conflict and increase connectivity between relationships. And so one joke one might make is, you're tension, you don't know what to do, you're struggling, and then you just say, well, Dr. Honda would say this, right? He would say be corny, so I guess we got to be corny. And you make a joke of it, and you lighten the mood, and then things, go in a better direction. So let me know if anyone does that, by the way, because I'd be curious. Feel free to make a joke at my expense to better your relationship.
Fast grape.
I think the biggest problem with Mike and Natalie's marriage is how Natalie acts in this relationship. She's a child, and I don't think that they're truly made for each other in the long run.
Yeah, that's another conceptualization that we might add to the list, that Natalie is actually regressing to a younger age, one that giggles a lot. It also could be a passive aggression, which also could be a regression along with that she is having thoughts of absolute anger and ridicule towards what's happening, and then she is saying to herself, these people are stupid, I hate these people. And then she makes a joke in her head, and she's actually laughing at them, but outwardly it's unclear because she isn't saying that she's laughing at them. She could just, it's not uncommon to have contempt. When you have contempt for someone, say you're in a marriage and you have contempt for your spouse and things are getting real gnarly, and you're just like, I just can't believe that this is happening. So, you're laughing as a ridicule as a result of your, true contempt for the other person. That's another possibility as to why she's laughing. Who knows?
Are you full, Natalie? Are you full?
Yeah, I am.
Now, if I was Mike, I would say something like, Mom, Natalie told me that you called her a hooker. Now, I don't think you called her a hooker. I think it's a misunderstanding. But if you did call my wife a hooker, that is terribly wrong. Mom, can you please explain yourself and just kind of get a conversation going? Why Mike doesn't do that is unclear to me because it's hard to know, but total speculation. He has learned through his early childhood traumas to avoid sweep under the rug because he believes if he faces it face on, terrible, terrible things will happen. So you're better off avoiding and sweeping under the rug and acting like nothing is going on. Hey, if you didn't know already, we are giving out a $2,000 scholarship to a master's student or a doctoral student in psychology or psychotherapy. So if you know someone or you are someone who is in that category, go to our website and apply for the scholarship. The deadline is soon, I think maybe next week. So make sure that you submit those. And we haven't received that many applications, so you might have a good chance of getting it. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.